So this is Mary Grace's and I's information on what teeth are made up of, what damages them, and how to care for them. And this was going to be our high school lesson plan. So first, what are the layers of the teeth? All teeth, whether baby teeth or adult, back teeth or front teeth, all have 3 different layers. The outermost layer that you see when you look at the tooth is called the enamel. Enamel is extremely strong and is the highest mineralized substance in the body, even more so than bone. Once a tooth erupts, the enamel layer is fully formed and cannot be repaired with new enamel if damage occurs. Damage to the enamel causes loss of minerals like calcium and phosphorus, and this process is also called demineralization. So demineralization is the same as damage to the enamel. But tooth enamel can be fixed with topical fluoride. In the areas where calcium and phosphorus were lost, fluoride can fill in these areas and re-strengthen this spot. The middle layer of the tooth is called the dentin. Dentin is not nearly as strong as enamel, and dentin can rebuild itself. But destructive bacteria need to be removed from the dentin by the dentist first before that dentin can start rebuilding itself. And the innermost layer is called the pulp of the tooth. It's a chamber that contains the blood supply and nerves of the tooth. When cavities reach this area of the tooth, a root canal or tooth extraction has to be performed by a dentist. The damage to the tooth structure or the demineralization that I've been talking about is also called a cavity. So what is needed to create a cavity? The first, you obviously need a natural tooth for a cavity to form. Cavities do not form on fillings or crowns, but they can definitely form around these restorations on the natural tooth structure, but they can never form on the actual restoration. The second needed thing is plaque bacteria. Bacteria naturally form in everyone's mouth and cannot be avoided, but can be drastically reduced by brushing and flossing, and we'll talk about that later. The third thing is carbohydrates or sugar. These come from everything that we choose to eat and drink. And the fourth thing that is needed is absence of fluoride and saliva. Saliva has minerals that help keep enamel mineralized and natural chemicals that fight and kill bacteria in your mouth. And fluoride also helps to remineralize damaged areas of enamel. So this slide is the actual process that I was talking about of how a cavity forms. So it starts with us eating sugars, and these sugars are eaten by bacteria that are naturally in our mouth and are at a much higher percentage if we don't brush or floss daily. And when these bacteria eat the sugar that we eat, they release an acid, and this acid damages the natural tooth surface and causes demineralization. And over time, this process can break through all the layers of the teeth that we have talked about. And in the next slide, I will go into a little more detail about that. So this slide shows the process of a cavity breaking through each layer of the tooth and what the names for that cavity is. The first type is called an incipient cavity. That is when the damage has only gone into the enamel, which is the outermost layer. And this type of cavity can be fixed with just topical fluoride. But if the cavity is far enough into the enamel, some dentists will want to fix it. Next, the cavity will travel into the dentin, which is a true cavity. The dentin can repair itself, but the decay must be removed first by a dentist. And once the cavity has gone through the dentin and reached the pulp, it is now called pulpitis. The tooth now needs to have a root canal and crown put on by a dentist, or the tooth needs to be removed by a dentist. If this doesn't happen, pulpitis will form into a periapical abscess. This is a very serious infection and needs immediate attention. The abscess will be seen from a dental x-ray at the base of the root. So as I have said, sugars are bad for our teeth, but when we are eating a meal, sugar is unavoidable. Sugars are found in many natural foods like fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. So when we eat a meal, acid is produced in our mouth and the pH drops. pH of the mouth should be around neutral, which is about 7. Once no more food is eaten, the pH of the mouth will slowly go back to neutral. However, if we are snacking all through the day or after meals, our mouth can never get back to neutral and always remains in a acidic state. This acidic state is constantly damaging our teeth and causing cavities. So the best time to eat sugary foods or snacks is with a meal, since our mouth is already going to be acidic anyways. Additionally, this is the same for drinking sugary drinks. If the sugary drink is sipped on throughout the day, the mouth will always be acidic. But if the drink is fully drank in a small period of time, the mouth will have time to go back to neutral. So at this point, we were going to do a little experiment with eggs and common sugary drinks like Coke, Mountain Dew, Red Bull, and Gatorade, and use water as a control. The eggs would be put into each drink and allowed to soak for 24 hours and then removed. The egg shells would then be qualitatively described as the sugary drinks break down and color the eggshells. However, in the control, the eggshell does not change. Additionally, we are going to weigh out the appropriate sugar content of each drink to visually show the class how much sugar is in each of these drinks.
There are 6 signs that can help you identify whether or not you have a cavity. The first sign and most apparent sign is a toothache. A toothache is sudden pain in your teeth or gums. Another sign is a hole in the tooth. A hole can be formed when bacteria, food particles, and saliva have remained on the tooth or between the teeth for a long period of time. The bacteria begins to eat away at the enamel, turning that part of the tooth into a cavity. The third sign of a cavity is bad breath. Bad breath is caused by bacteria that is in the mouth. The fourth sign is tooth sensitivity. If a cavity is present, the tooth's nerves are exposed and causes sensitivity to temperatures. This sensitivity can be brought on by drinking or eating something hot or cold. The fifth sign is spots or stains. Black, brown, or white spots that are soft and sticky can signify a cavity. The last sign can be bleeding while brushing. A deep cavity can extend down to the gum line and cause the gums to be inflamed and be infected with bacteria. Here are pictures of different cavities. In the top left, you are seeing dark stains that are black and brown in color. This person might be experiencing tooth sensitivity and bleeding at the gum line. The top right is another cavity that is dark. The grooves and pits of your teeth are good areas for bacteria to live. The bottom left is a tooth that has a deep cavity with a hole in the tooth. This person is likely experiencing pain and bleeding gums. The last picture on the lower right is showing multiple cavities with dark stains, holes, and bleeding gums. There is a good possibility that this person is also experiencing bad breath. So how can we prevent cavities? Start with brushing 2 times per day and flossing once a day. Limit acidic and sugary foods and drinks such as candy, soda, and sports drinks. If you do want to eat and drink acidic and sugary foods, try to eat them with a meal. This will help your mouth stay basic. Again, if you find yourself wanting something sweet, have your treat in one sitting. Sipping on soda throughout the day can cause more damage than drinking it all at once. Drink acidic drinks or drinks that contain sugar with a straw. This can also help prevent staining. It is recommended to wait 1 hour to brush your teeth after eating a meal. And lastly, having regular dental checkups once or twice a year if possible is beneficial. The best toothbrush to have is an electric or battery-powered toothbrush. If you are able to use an electric toothbrush, let the brush do the work. Slowly move the toothbrush from tooth to tooth with light pressure for 2 minutes. If you use a manual toothbrush, a soft bristle toothbrush is recommended. It is also best to change your toothbrush every 3 months or every time you are sick. The proper motion starts by placing the toothbrush at a 45-degree angle so the bristles reach underneath the gum line. Then proceed to move the toothbrush gently in short vibratory circulatory strokes. Finish with brushing the chewing surfaces of your teeth and tongue. For flossing, the best type of floss to use is string floss. The floss picks work well, but string floss allows you to change the floss as it removes food and bacteria throughout the mouth. Start with wrapping floss around the middle fingers and use your index fingers to apply pressure. Move the floss in a saw motion between the teeth. Once the floss is down by the gums, wrap the floss in a C shape and gently move the floss up and down the tooth. Then perform the same action on the adjacent tooth. It is recommended to floss before you brush. Thank you for your time today. We will now hand out a 10-question quiz. As the quizzes are completed, we will collect them and hand out goodie bags of toothbrushes and floss. Thanks so much.